Karl.
What?
I am filming.
Oh, fuck's sake. I've got to stand up. Oh, let's do this. Oh. With the exception of Elmo and his Sesame Street posse, characters invented purely to entertain children are usually irritating as all shit. Which is why it brings me great pleasure to tell you about the time in 1994 a guy beat the living piss out of one of the most annoying British characters ever devised.
I don't think we even need to mention who it is.
Everyone, British people watching know the fucking...
We all know. I mean, I imagine American people watching know who this is as well.
What, Mr Blobby?
Mr. Blobby.
Nothing can prepare you for Mr Blobby. Yes, it is Mr Blobby we're talking about, who, for people who don't know, can be summed up by the following clip. For anyone currently thinking, Karl, that doesn't explain anything, that's the fucking point. Mr Blobby was a short-lived joke that got way out of hand.
You said he was a joke?
Yes, he was originally devised as part of a candid camera prank for a TV show where the basic idea was Mr Blobby is a children's TV show character and they'd ask celebrities of the day onto this fictional TV show and basically tell the guy in the Mr Blobby costume, just act like as much of a dick as possible to try and antagonise this celebrity. And we'll film their reactions and show it on the show later and it'll be really, really funny.
Oh, what? Blobby. Can we untangle him? Come on, boys, quickly again.
We need to point out Mr Blobby, he was intentionally designed to be as terrifying and stupid looking as possible. The idea was that celebrities would stand next to this horrific amalgamation of children's fears and then have it put forward as like, oh no, he's a really popular children's TV character, and they'd stand next to like this dead-eyed, bulbous, like, I can't describe like what he looks like because he's just awful. Like, but the idea was that it'd be really funny to watch, like, I don't know, here's H from Steps stood next to this giant, freaky, bulbous creature.
I imagine there's that moment where they lead the celebrity in and say, this is the kid's character, and
Yeah.
they're like, what the fuck is that thing?
But obviously you think, well, they're just kids. Then again, I think with modern TV kids characters, he's not that out of the realm of possibility. I think he was before Teletubbies. Like, Teletubbies are cuter than Mr Blobby, but I can see the cut from the same mold. But Mr Blobby is obviously intentionally designed to be just that little bit more irritating. Like, not even just his appearance, it's his voice that does it. So I think if you've watched the clips, it's like, that can't be Mr Blobby's voice if you don't know who he is. That was Mr Blobby's voice. His voice is fucking terrifying. The only thing he can say is the word Blobby, and he speaks like the version of Siri Satan has on his iPhone. He's terrifying. He's so terrifying, and that's the idea behind it. It's like, let's make the most obnoxious, ugly fucking character we can and say that he's the most popular kids TV character in the country and just get him to fuck with celebrities.
And pirouette.
Apparently I had a Mr Blobby toy as a kid and I just used to throw it down the stairs because I hated it.
And then when you turned around, it was back up the stairs again.
I can't express to you, for people watching at home who don't like, how annoying this character is and how much people hated him in the 90s. The problem was though, the Mr Blobby segments were too popular, and before long the cat was out of the bag and celebrities around the country knew that the Mr Blobby TV show wasn't real and that appearing on it was part of a prank.
So why did he end up sticking around?
Well, because for some reason, inexplicably, Mr Blobby ended up being popular with actual children. Despite the fact, remember I told you he was intentionally designed to be as off-putting as possible, kids just found him hilarious. So what they did is instead of giving for the pranks, they did sketches with him, which were painfully unfunny, but kids fucking loved. And it was basically, the premise was Mr Blobby trying and failing to do normal things while acting like a total and utter dickbeard the entire time he's on screen.
Oh, you all right? Look, decorating's not meant to be dangerous.
Why is that funny?
It was to kids, and that's the point. So which is, I think, is the weirdest part about this. They designed Mr Blobby and said, oh, wouldn't it be funny if kids found this character hilarious? And designed this awful, demonic-looking creature. And then kids are like, yeah, we love Mr Blobby. And like, oh shit, we've actually designed a real kid's character.
Blob! Blob! I've just spent an hour clearing the whole area. Oh!
Hang on though, I remember him being more than just a sketch character.
Yeah, do you remember him having like appearances on like every other TV show and toys and things like that?
Yeah, he was everywhere.
That's because Mr Blobby got too popular and they realised, oh wow, this is a marketable character that we can sell to the public. So there was Mr Blobby Toys, there was Mr Blobby Amusement Park that never made any money, got shut down, and then became a haven for drug addicts who used it to hold illegal raves. I'm not making that up, that's a true story.
This is done blobbing. It's been kind of ruined by various raves and things which have been happening here.
And the one that gets me the most is that he had a Christmas #1. We're going to play a brief section for you now at home and tell me this is not the most annoying shit in the world. Remember, that was a Christmas #1. 40 other songs were released around that time and all of them were deemed inferior to that monstrosity. How much would it kick you in the dick to hear that? When you write your pen like this, this mournful Christmas song, thinking, oh, this is really going to bring people together, and you find out the #1 goes to some dick in a pink costume, just screaming the word Blobby through a voice synthesizer. The problem was, though, despite his popularity, nobody really found Mr Blobby funny, and virtually every adult in the UK reported that they found him annoying. How annoying, you ask? Well, for our American viewers, he was often called Britain's answer to Barney the dinosaur.
Oh, all of these hearts remind me of all the friends I love.
I love you.
Oh my, right,
you love me.
Yeah, for Americans, that'll probably sum up how annoying this character was. Like, Barney the dinosaur, people fucking hate that stupid purple dinosaur.
Oh, that was good.
There's got to have been a tipping point.
Well, there was, because obviously at the height of his popularity, Mr Blobby started making public appearances where he continued to act like a huge douchebag. But this time, he wasn't doing it to celebrities who had an image to maintain. He was doing it to members of the public who, remember, all found him annoying as fuck. And I think it came to a head in 1994 when, at a children's birthday party, Mr Blobby threw a 6-year-old girl's cake on the floor.
Happy birthday to the ground!
So let's set the scene for everyone at home and for yourself, Brad, right? You're like in your mid-30s, you're celebrating your daughter's 6th birthday. Some asshole in a bright pink suit with yellow splotches on it walks in, falls over, scares your daughter, because of course she's terrified of this giant monster man, picks up her cake and spikes it into the ground. What do you, as a parent, do?
Well, I've read the title of the video, Karl.
Yes, this man vaulted through the air, mounted Mr Blobby and started beating the living shit out of him. And you think, oh no, did he get in trouble? No. Do you know what happened? This is the best bit of the entire story. Other parents watching cheered him on. All the parents around cheered him on for doing it as he was just beating on this guy in this costume. And I like to imagine that if you listened really carefully that day, from inside the costume you could hear the guy saying, it's just a prank, bro. And as an idea for people at home of how annoying Mr Blobby was, newspapers reported on this guy punching him out at his daughter's birthday party as a good thing. People actually called him a hero for finally doing what everyone else had wanted to do since he'd appeared on TV and knock him the fuck out. Just imagine for a second being so hated, so disliked on like an almost universal scale that a story about you having the shit beaten out of you is reported as a good thing. That when someone lamps you right in the mouth and just starts raining blows down on your head as you beg for mercy, all you can hear is children cheering him on. Just kids cheering, get him, Dad! Beat him up, he ruined my cake! Oh, thankfully, the people watching at home, Mr Blobby, he faded into obscurity soon after this, but this is what freaks me out the most. He's still trying to make a comeback. There are still rumours that Mr Blobby is trying to make a comeback, and you can go and find his official website. And he's waiting. And I'm worried about when he comes back, because when he does, he's going to be ready, because he knows he's going to come back wearing like armour. I don't want Mr Blobby to come back. But if he does, they've got to go the whole hog if he does come back. And they've got to paint the eyes red. And just call him Shin Blobby. It's like he's true Blobby. And then you make him like a big cloak. He needs to... If you know he's annoying, you might as well like go the whole hog. Like, people know this dude's evil. Just commit.
Fuck! Oh, God.
Don't come back, Mr. Blobby. We never wanted you in the first place. Just stay dead. We need to point out as well that people did genuinely find Mr. Blobby fucking terrifying. And Brad, I think the best example of this, if you're aware of it, is the comedian Jack Whitehall. During Big Fat Quiz of the Year, find a clip of this to show people home. Like, basically, comedian Jack Whitehall is terrified of Mr. Blobby. And they didn't tell him that during a quiz show, they were going to have Mr. Blobby on as a special guest. And you can see him visibly shy away. He hides under the table when he sees Mr. Blobby. That's how terrifying this character was.
Do you reckon he was at the birthday party?
It was his birthday. They got it wrong. It wasn't a 6-year-old. They changed the gender to protect his identity. That kid must have been so popular the next day at school. That my dad beat up Mr. Blobby.
Just walking holding Blobby's head.
Just holding it. Oh. I like to imagine, well, the dad, after that, it was like that guy in Scotland who booted that terrorist in the testicles. Do you remember this story? There was a guy in Scotland, a failed suicide bomber at a Scottish airport, caught fire, and some random Scottish guy ran up and kicked him in the balls. And the headline was, "I kicked a flaming terrorist in the balls so hard I broke my foot." And then they launched a campaign to buy him pints. Like, oh, you can buy him a pint. And apparently like 20,000 people took him up on the offer, so he just drinks free for the rest of his life. I imagine that the guy who beat up Mr. Blobby was like that. That everyone's like, every place he went to, all the parents are like, thank you. It's like, you go into the bar and he goes, oh, can I get a pint? And someone goes up, no, this is on me, mate. You stopped Mr. Blobby. I don't have to listen to his Christmas #1 in July anymore. Thank you.